Today I was told about an item on one of the news online, and it mentioned that in Little Lake Harbor there are two John P. Kellys working there. And there are. One is my son, who is a police officer hired off the civil service list. The other is a plumbing inspector, a gentleman I've never met. He's not related to us. I would imagine my son's probably met him by now since they both work in Little Lake Harbor, but there is no relationship whatsoever, and I really don't know the gentleman. So it's online as if something nefarious is being done, and nothing's further from the truth. As I say, my son was hired off of the civil service list as a competitive list, and he waited his turn and was hired a few years back as a police officer. So I just wanted to bring that up in case anyone here read that and was wondering what the story may be. We'll now move on to freeholder comments. Start with freeholder board.
Mr. Director and members of the board, this is perhaps a little off the direct subject of what we usually discuss, but I recently too saw a report online and listened to comments by the deputy mayor of Little Lake Harbor Township, which I took to be somewhat critical of the county's purchase of Southwind's site in Little Lake Harbor Township. And really the aura of the entire discussion was alleging some kind of corruption. Not necessarily directed to the county, but that was the overall gist, if you will, of the deputy mayor's comments. And it really bothered me to a great extent, and I'd like to address it. I've been liaison to the county's Natural Lands Trust program since it was inaugurated in, Jerry, 1991, I believe? 89, so it's been quite a long time. When we purchase property, all right, the property is nominated by its owner or by a municipality or by someone, and it goes through the county's appointed Natural Lands Trust Advisory Council, a blue ribbon committee of people that we have appointed to advise us as to whether a property meets the standards of our program, to advise us as to that, to inspect the program, to listen to various comments, and then to make a recommendation to the Board of Freeholders. Now, before any recommendation is made, two appraisals are made of the property. Now, in this case, this property adjoins in Little Lake, the Southwind's property, adjoins other areas that are owned, that are in public ownership. And the properties have been approved, or had been approved, I should say, by Little Lake Harbor Township for the construction of 168 townhouse units. Now, before the county enters into any kind of agreement to purchase, it requires the express approval of the township. And in this case, there was some controversy in Little Lake as to whether the township, in fact, wanted the county to purchase this land. I think there were some people who thought that it perhaps ought to be developed and put on the tax rolls and have tax revenues from it. Others thought that that, in the long run, was a loser. But in any event, we right here in this meeting room said to the mayor and others that it's up to you. If you want us to proceed with it, we will. If you want us to drop it, we will. But the fact of the matter, and what disturbs me, okay, we went forward with the project. A resolution came forward from the governing body asking us to do it. The township's environmental commission also passed a resolution, which was not necessary for us. But again, we had done 2 appraisals. In fact, we did 6 appraisals. We did an appraisal of the property in May of 2009, and those appraisals came in at $5.6 million and should put my glasses on here, and at $5.88 million. The owner at that time declined to go any further with the discussions with the county. The owner didn't want to settle at any of those kind of prices or enter into negotiation. That's fine. This is not a program where we condemn property or that we force anyone to we'll take our money elsewhere. It was still of interest to the county and Little Egg 2 years later, and 2 years later we did another appraisal. And this time, as values had somewhat increased, those two appraisals came in at 5.8 and $6 million. Again, the owner declined to go further with negotiations on a county acquisition. And then in January 2016, now that's almost 7 years after we originally started. Okay? Again, interest was expressed. The county did 2 more appraisals. And by the way, an appraisal, these are professional appraisals done according to Green Acres standards and are, again, you must use those Green Acres standards to have the kind of appraisals that the county needs. These appraisals came in at $5.55 million from one and $5.55 million from the other. Now the owner was willing to sell. He was either going to build or he was going to sell. And the county negotiated a sales price that was $100,000 less than the lowest appraisal. So we paid $100,000 less than the $5.55 million appraisal of the property. We paid $5.45 million. Now the deputy mayor said, well, that was too much money because Little Egg's appraisal, and he used the word appraisal, was 2.2. Well, Little Egg had never done an appraisal of the property. They had a tax assessment of the property. And yes, the tax assessment was at $2.2 million. The tax assessment, as we have looked into it, did not reflect the fact that the property had been approved and that approval had approved for 168 units, and that according to a state law, I have to read my own writing here, that the Permit Extension Act extended those permits for quite a long time. They were in place, and the property was worth, given the fact that it had approvals to build 168 units that would have had perhaps double that in population. So the township's, if you will, tax assessment was obviously low compared to its appraisal value, and appraisals done according to state law. Again, we were able to purchase for $100,000 less than the appraisals, and in addition, the property owner donated about $100,000 worth of additional property that was in the vicinity. So in total, we made out on almost $200,000 less than what the values would have been. So for someone to allege, and this is my point, for someone to allege that the figures don't add up, I suppose the alleger ought to take a closer look at where the figures came from in his town, not where the figures came from the county. Because ours are done by professional appraisers, not a tax assessor, professional appraisers. These were the market values. The county has never, I repeat, never paid more for any property that we have purchased since 1989 in this program, have never paid more than the appraised value that we have received. If we can't strike a deal within those appraised values, we don't buy it. Simple as that. What we can say to potential sellers to the county, our money's good. The check isn't going to bounce. You don't have to wait for your money. It's not like a private sale where there are bank loans and all those other kind of things. We've got the cash in the bank. The check is written on a cash balance. So, and that has allowed us in many cases to move forward more quickly. But again, all of these come to us through our Natural Lands Advisory Council, a bipartisan board, I might add. Okay, I usually make the presentation to the board as to what that is. We hold a public hearing where the public is invited to make comment on whether or not the county should engage in it. We take that under advisement, and then we move forward. And in most cases, I believe in almost all cases, we have gone on to purchase the property. Jerry, I think probably close has the total number of acreages that we have purchased, because Jerry used to be, before he was a freeholder, was the chairman of our Natural Lands Trust. Well over 16,000 acres. okay? And over $100 million worth of taxpayers' money who voted in every municipality to tax themselves 1.2 cents per $100 of equalized value to support this program. We don't condemn land. We can, but we don't condemn land. We deal with willing sellers, and we deal where a municipality says, yes, please go forward with it, because we did not want to be in a position of taking land off the tax rolls and having the municipality be angry at us for doing that. So we require their assent. And many times, and most times, as all of you know, we are looking for partners. We are looking for Green Acres money to augment this program. We are looking for the Department of Defense money that Jack has worked with very strongly through the joint base to protect the base from encroachment, through private entities that are in the land preservation business. I think I said the State Green Acres program. If anyone's got money out there and wants to send it our way to help purchase property, that certainly is welcome, and we use it. And we've made great advantage of that. But again, I thought it was important to set the record straight. We know what we're doing. We've been here more than 4 months, and we do it the correct way, and never has there been any allegation that the county has overpaid for anything it's ever bought. And I hope that allegation is never made again. Thank you, Mr. Director.
Thank you for that report, Freeholder.